Hi, I'm Andy Kaufman, host of the People and Projects podcast. On the way back from a recent speaking engagement, I was sitting next to a pilot who was commuting to his destination, and we got into an interesting discussion. I love talking to pilots, all right? And so we started talking about a number of different things. My favorite question to ask a pilot is there truth to the pilot shortage? And I mean, they'll go on for a half hour about there is a pilot shortage and kind of the issues around that. But then we got into some recent airline incidences. And by the way, if you don't like flying, you're not necessarily going to like this episode. But we had an interesting discussion. I was asking him about a situation, if you recall, hearing about a Southwest plane where the window blew and a passenger died, but there was also the engine got destroyed. And so I'm like, now that was a pretty amazing thing that the pilot was able to, get that on the ground. Because I've talked to other pilots about this, and they've gone, well, the big story would have been if she couldn't have landed that plane. We practice that all the time in the simulator. And this pilot said an interesting thing. He goes, we practice one engine out all the time in the simulator. But what was an interesting challenge that she had to deal with was decompression and the engine and someone had died and all these things at the same time. Now, here's one lesson from that is in the coming week, someone is going to say something to you about one of your colleagues, and it might be really tempting to discount what they're saying. I mean, you wouldn't probably say this, but inside you might be thinking, and it can leak out of you like, that wasn't that big of a deal, I mean, we all do stuff like that. Don't discount the victories or the wins of your colleagues, right? Celebrate with them. It comes off as petty and insecure. So celebrate, recognize what your colleagues do well. Okay? And here's the other lesson I want to leave with you from that discussion. He said, here's the big thing I've learned as a pilot. He goes, I learned this from one of my instructors. He goes, indecision kills more people than the wrong decision. Think about that. I'm not perfectly comfortable with being okay with the wrong decision because I tend to like to think there's a right decision and a wrong decision here, and that holds me back too often from making a decision. So keep that in mind in the week ahead. Indecision kills more people than making the wrong decision. Make a decision. Make the call. In many circumstances, now if it's an ethical or a compliance or a safety issue, that's different. But in many situations, it doesn't matter that much. But make the decision. So leave a comment. I'm interested in what your take is on this whole indecision is worse than the wrong decision, because I can think of plenty of examples where that's not true. But what's your take on that? Leave a comment. And also, what's your take on this idea of celebrating the wins of your colleagues? Okay? Even if it wasn't that big of a win, still celebrate it. Don't discount it. I'd love to hear from you. Hey, if you get value from these episodes, pass along to friends and colleagues. If they hold a certification from PMI, you get free PDUs just for listening and watching. Well, thank you for listening to the People and Projects podcast. Have a great one.